tabletop exercise where you did the mock scenario, etc. From then, every year, and organizations come together, and it actually involves the CIA, NSA, NIAID, NIH, all of the health agencies in America and across the world, and they do these exercises. The reality though is this, all of them, if you go into the internet and you find these exercises, you would see that all of them end in the erosion of your rights, the closure, the lockdowns, the taking of liberties, and societies all get funneled into one thing, taking a vaccine. They've been always trying, and with all of the tabletop exercises, you could see that vaccine is the key. The aim was to get vaccine into arms. Now the question is why? Is it really about the mRNA technology, or is it really a delivery platform where they're going to vaccinate you with something else as part of this? Mm-hmm. Is the mRNA technology what we call a binary weapon, bioweapon, where you've taken stage 1 and now they could turn on something in you from the outside? Maybe they could release something into the atmosphere that the persons who have the vaccine in them, it could be active. Maybe it could shut your life down.
Okay, so let me stop you there, because you talked about these summits or these pandemic response exercises.
Mm-hmm. Every year.
And you say, and I know that in October there is a bird flu summit that is coming up in Washington, D.C., October 2nd through 4th. So that type of exercise or summit or get together of individuals, you're saying that in all of the previous ones, it all leads you to an erosion of individual rights and funneling everyone into taking a vaccine.
Yes. There's Event 201 that was in 2019. The year before COVID began in January, February of 2020.
Okay.
That was done in the United States. And what was remarkable about Event 201, as I recall it now, is they actually worked up a coronavirus pandemic. That was a fascinating thing. Everything that was done in COVID, they did in the middle of 2019 around. I'm not sure of the exact month of that tabletop. We call it Event 201. They went through a COVID. It was a coronavirus. And they went through all of the lockdowns and the school closures and everything that was done in COVID. So how possible it is for you the year before, few months before, to do the exact mock exercise where you're saying, let's just practice in case, and then the same thing happened in January, February.
Okay, so let's stop there for a second. So I mentioned this bird flu summit, and you can go online and you can look, put in bird flu summit and in the search engine, and you'll see exactly what this conference is about that's being held in Washington, D.C. So if we use past history of what transpired prior to COVID, and we fast forward to this upcoming October with a bird flu summit, also in the media, and for the past several months, we've been hearing talk about this avian flu, this bird flu. Is it possible that we should be concerned about a similar response coming out of that upcoming summit in early October?
Well, of course, because first of all, you ask a very important question. The bird flu summit, to me, as a scientist, an academic scientist, etc., is a joke. Because why it is a joke is because this is more fear porn more than anything. Because we have no evidence anywhere of any pandemic potential avian bird flu today. We have no evidence of it leaping any avian bird flu, H5N1, H5N2, H5N8. So a lot of it is fear porn and just speculation and ginning up. And they're talking about, again, using the mRNA platform, vaccine platform, to build a vaccine for the bird flu. So they are trying to create a pandemic to then subject you to a new vaccine for the bird flu. And what they're doing is they're using the PCR test again. Remember, persons like myself have argued that COVID was never a pandemic, but they created a pandemic of fear and lockdown based on fear and masks based on fear, driven by that PCR test. Remember, the PCR nasal swab, etc., was a 97% false positive process. It was not a diagnostic test. Where we could argue today that everyone who tested positive were never positive. We took people out of society, out of schools, with a false positive designation. And they knew that. Fauci, Birx, Asa, all of the people involved in COVID knew the lie. They knew that the PCR was designating people positive when they were not. They knew they were locking down based on a fraud. And that's the legacy. Nothing about COVID was true. Everything was a lie. And I'm talking about looking at all of the science. The complete body of evidence today tells us that Operation Warp Speed in entirety was a failure. There's no part of Operation Warp Speed, not even POTUS Trump could point to. He can say it if he wants, that it was successful, but it was not.
So is it far-fetched then to look at what's coming with the bird flu summit in early October, that right around the corner we're going to be faced with the same type of closures, lockdowns, mask mandate, vaccine mandates that we did when we went through the whole COVID? Absolutely,
because the tragedy of it is the public needs to understand. I've been writing in my Substack, Alexander COVID News, and a lot of you probably follow it, where there's no indication of any leap or spillover, using immunological terms, from cows, from birds, fowl, waterfowl, to cows to human beings. There's zero indication of human to human transmission, which is a key. We have none of that. So there's no reason for any fear, panic. This is just a fraud. But what they're doing is they could literally take the PCR process again and start running around a society, a city, or a school, and give everybody the test and calibrate it in a way that everybody will test positive and say, oh, all of these people have bird flu. So everybody needs a vaccine. It's exactly what they did for COVID. And that's the key. And the question is...
Well, the question is are we going to fall for it again? Will people be more discerning this time around? Will people think more critically this time around than they did the first go around with COVID? That's really the question, because
but people like you, people like myself, there's a lot of critical thinking people like your viewers and stuff who opted not to fall for it. But they're large. You see, human beings, we are afraid of things we can't see. So contagion is something we can't see, so we fear it. But we also put a lot of respect and admiration and trust in our higher level officials. We respect authority, and we feel that when authority tells us something, like doctors in white coats, we've done enough studies, enough research to show that people will follow along what a doctor tells them. Once somebody is standing there in a white coat, could be a nurse, a doctor, an assistant, whatever, they will follow along and they will do it. And we have all the experiments, like the Stanley Milgram experiments in university, where he got people to administer high level shocks, where we thought they would administer shocks, almost deadly shocks, and they were willing to keep increasing the dial and shocking the Confederate and stuff in the next room, thinking they were shocking the person, and they were upset that they were shocking the person, but they're following along blindly. And that's the key. Conformity and social obedience. These dark, malevolent people in society are using all of these things on us.